Hi, everybody. This is Marc Owczarzak, and this is Hey Bay City.
Crushed it.
I don't know about that, but
Being a theater dad just paid off.
right.
I love that. Before we start talking about you, Marc Owczarzak, the Lions just won 2 in a row.
They did.
Did you watch the game yesterday?
I've been posting on my Facebook. You may have seen it.
I did.
17-0, and I've been updating it every week. In the last 3 weeks, I've been able to post the same record, 11-6. So the wins are going up and the losses are staying the same. So we're on our way to Super Bowl.
Oh, I love it. Have you always been a sports guy?
Yeah,
Sports?
I've always been. I prefer football above the rest, but definitely do love to watch sports for sure.
Yeah. Did you grow up here in Bay City?
I did grow up here in Bay City, and I started out working for my parents. My mom and dad at the time, when I was younger, owned a meat market called the Meat Gallery, and I had I'd started working in there, middle school for sure, into high school, and at that time, they didn't have these fancy can recycle pop machines that you put cans in. So they used to always come home. People just bring them in bags. You need to go to the store and sort bottles and cans. So as a child, I spent many hours sorting nasty bottles and cans. So that was the start of it all.
There's nothing like the smell of the bottle return area. It's so funny because I did the same thing at Larry's IGA in Alma, Michigan. You go to any kind of bottle return place in the country and it all smells exactly the same. You will never forget the smell of a bottle return area.
Absolutely. But that was the beginning. And at that point, Phil, believe it or not, I had worked through high school for my parents and decided that I wasn't a small business person.
Oh, really?
Really, believe it. And I decided to go away to Michigan Tech to study engineering. And so I spent 5 years up at Michigan Tech in Houghton.
Wow. What kind of engineering?
I am a mechanical engineer.
Really?
By degree, yeah, absolutely.
What was it about mechanical engineering that said, hey, this is my ticket. This is my way out of the small business life?
I don't know. I thought engineering was a good 4-year degree, easy to get a job. And mechanical is a discipline that studies a little bit electrical, a little bit of chemical, a little bit of all of the disciplines. So I thought no matter what I did, if I did mechanical, if I found love in one of them, I kind of could go that way. So I did that and then left college with my degree and went and worked for General Motors. And I worked for GM for about 17 years or so. And then went to Consumers, and I've been at Consumers for about 8 years. But in the midst of that switch, Laura,
your wife.
Yes, Laura, my wife, holds a degree in hospitality from Northwood. So she had spent her time working in the hotel side of the business. And then when we had children, she decided it was best to stay home and help raise the kids. And we both agreed that was an awesome thing to do. So she did that. After the kids got in school, she decided to go back into the work, and she went and worked for Dow Corning. And she worked for Dow Corning, I don't know, I'm thinking like 7 years or so, and then had this passion that she wanted to get back in the hospitality industry. And so her and I sat down and talked and said, well, if you're going to go do that, let's look at doing something ourselves. And so me being born in small business, I thought, let's try it. And she said, you know what, let's do it. And so we just kind of started looking and really kind of stumbled across O's in Auburn, which was then the Sportsman's. And we ended up talking to the owner a few times, going in there, and it just ended up turning out. And so we ended up buying that, and then she quit Corning and ended up begin to run O's.
What were your feelings initially when it looked like you were veering into owning a small business? Was that an easy sell for you, or was it kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready to get back into this life, or what were you thinking?
I'd say it was a scary thing for us, but at that point, kids were who were in college, one almost out of college, second one in college, and the third, our youngest was a junior then, maybe a sophomore in high school. But either way, when I was in high school, but it was a good transition. But it was scary. But, I thought the worst thing that happens is we have to start over. And I still have my engineering degree, and I'm still, much further than I was when I started originally. So I thought, what the heck? And Laura really has made O's go. Hospitality, her attitude around it, how she carries herself, her positiveness. I knew that getting her out there and with people was just a winning combination. It did take some time for us to figure out, again, me to figure out again how to run a business, and then for her to spend time in that as well. So it was a little bumpy at first, but stick to it and keep going.
Yeah, the hospitality. I mean, the fact that she came with this background in hospitality and knows what makes places like O's go. I mean, it's such a incredible asset to have her on the team, leading the charge, like leading this business, because you can get into it like a restaurant because of food, but food is not going to be the thing that keeps your restaurant open. It's everything, that context and the environment and how customers feel when they walk into your place.
I think you're spot on. And I tell our staff and our team, and Laura understands this, that many, many, many restaurants in the area have incredible food. I mean, we visit all of them, and they're just incredible food. And I think O's has incredible food too. But
amen.
What separates us, I think, is the personal side of it, is the attitude when you walk in, is how you're treated when you walk in. Even if you're down, you begin to feel up. You hear a woohoo from our staff. It's just, and I tell them all the time, the magic of O's is all of that, because you get good food all over.
There is a magic to O's, and I'm not blowing smoke simply because I'm talking to you on the podcast. My wife and I had gone to O's. I'm ashamed to say, for the first time, I think about a year and a half ago, and you can't fake the energy of a place. The vibe between, whether it's between the staff or between staff and customers, you can't fake it. But when you walk into O's, there's exactly that. This energy of, this is our place. This is a place where I can have fun, where I can go after work, where I can go for beer, where I can go for some killer cheeseburgers, and just really enjoy that period of time. We had such a fantastic experience, and walking out of the place, like this is such a special place, not just here in Bay County, but I honestly in the state. And I do this kind of work all across the country, and I feel that O's is a very special place.
It's interesting you say that, because that was kind of going into it. One of our Laura and I's thought was, we need to make O's a destination. We want people to, in our hashtag love O's, we want people to love O's, and not just for food, but for atmosphere and for people and relationships and all of that. So through it all, I mean, that was really our goal. O's is going to be a destination, and people are going to drive. Hey, we have a Saturday sometime, we're going to drive and go there. And, even today, some people say, wow, you must be really happy with where we are. And I am. And people say, could you ever imagine it would be like that? And Phil, I have to say, yes, because even today, I sit here as I'm talking to you, it's a destination, and we are working to make it that. So blessed that our staff has bought into that. We talk about that all the time. Laura leads that. Kim, our manager, is there as much or more now with our next venture coming up. Our manager's there a lot, and she just carries that too. And it's just, I don't know. I can't say enough about the team.
I love that you're pointing out that creating an environment, creating a place like O's is an intentional act. It doesn't just happen. You don't just open the doors and make good cheeseburgers and suddenly it's a place where people are willing to drive an hour and a half round trip just to get dinner there. It is an intentional act. You do have to go, and you do have to put people in place, and you do have to do things a certain way, and you have to train your staff a certain way to really create that atmosphere where you can say, yes, this is absolutely everything that we wanted it to be.
Absolutely. And it hasn't been without, many tears for Laura and I, and getting through it and making many mistakes and hearing things that we've done wrong. And anytime that happens, we just think about, okay, we made a mistake. We didn't do something right. Something happened. It's gonna happen. But how do we make that positive? How do we turn that into something that can really help either our staff, our food, our kitchen, Laura and I? And so every bump in the road is, okay, how do we adjust a little bit? But keep in mind, destination.
When I first started working for my brother in his small business, that was something that we learned the hard way right away, that running a business is not never making mistakes. It's dealing with those mistakes, navigating those mistakes, figuring out that mistake. First of all, owning up to the mistake, but then figuring out, okay, how do we make this better? How do we not avoid this later on? But you'll never not have a mistake. It's just a constant inherent thing in running a small business.
Yeah, I always think, we need to fail fast to get through that, and so if we fail, how do we make it better? And let's do that and not be bothered by it, and let's just keep going. Sometimes I joke, let's just put the ear, the earmuffs on and just keep going.
Right.
I mean, let's just stay true to who we are and be positive and, offer the best experience we can.
Yeah. What's the biggest mistake you've made as a business owner?
I think back when we opened and, as we get into the next, venture, I think of this, but I built a menu pretty much based around things that I loved. And we were in, I don't know, maybe a few months. Time goes so fast, but we were in maybe a few months into the business, and there was many of these items that were like, I love this stuff, but they didn't sell.
But nobody else
and nobody did. And I thought, what the heck? Is it quality? What are we doing wrong? And then I don't remember, somebody said, maybe everybody doesn't like those. Maybe you're right. And so it was I don't know, sometimes a tough pill to swallow, but it's like, no, we need to put things on that appeal to everybody, not Mark. And so I remember Laura and I sitting down, redoing the whole menu and putting a new menu out and soliciting customers, what would you like to see on our menu? And so many of the things on our menu today are current customer creations. And so I don't know, I had to put tail between my legs and say, wow, what Mark thought isn't quite right. And so that was tough. The other part, I think that I look back a little bit, we are a real strong family and we spend a lot of time. We don't open on holidays because it's family time. And I think it took a lot of work early on, but sometimes, Laura and I both think about it, that our youngest, who still had a few years left of high school, we spent a lot of time with her, but in reality, she probably got shortchanged a little bit. So that's something that bothers us. But you know what? No regrets. Time to move, time to keep going.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being a dad, I am also a dad, and I'm also a dad of 3 girls. And I hear that you also have 3 girls. Is that true?
Yes, I do have 3 girls. And they're, Phil, they're wonderful. As kids, they were great. And then sometime, I don't know, maybe in the mid-teenage years, Dad couldn't do anything right. And I remember telling Laura a few times, man, I can't communicate with, whichever one it was, Mallory, Riley, or Morgan, but I was having issues communicating. And she's like, don't worry, it'll come back around. It'll, because she had been around, she had sisters. I had brothers too, so I had never been around girls.
Yeah, likewise. I have 2 brothers.
Okay, yeah. And so I just kept Laura, you're right. And you know what? They come back around, and now they're back, and they take care of their dad. They dress their dad. They make sure their dad looks how he's supposed to look. So I sometimes feel like I have 3 more moms.
Yeah, I love it.
But they keep me cool. If that makes sense.
What are your thoughts about being a dad?
Best thing that's ever happened to me. Just purpose and guide, to guide those kids. And I don't know, it means a lot to me. It really does. I almost can't put it in words. Those of you that are fathers can respect that, but there's nothing like being a father. And I just had the pleasure in September, so a couple months ago, of handing over my oldest to get married to her husband. And man,
what was that like?
I tried to prepare myself for it.
Because I'm terrified by the thought of it right now. And my oldest is 4.
So I cried through the whole thing pretty much, but he's a wonderful person. He loves her to death. And I know that. And so deep inside, I just hang on to that, but it was tough,
Yeah.
I don't know. Although happy, she's doing wonderful and got a wonderful husband and on her own and can stand. Couldn't be more prouder of that. It's still
Dad.
Yeah, it's still my first daughter. I have 2 more to go. So somehow I'm going to get through it.
Well, I think that too, it is really hard to put into words what being a dad is like. And the easiest way or the closest I think I can describe it, it's like, imagine the best and hardest thing.
Absolutely.
It's
for sure.
It's that typically the really hard things, the really frustrating things, the things that make you angry or tired or whatever it is. We try to avoid those things, but you obviously can't do that with being a dad. But it's so hard, and you're so tired, and especially being a business owner on top of it, like all of that. But then at the same time, it is the absolute best thing.
Yeah, I've gone and I'm sure you've experienced this, Phil, from being dead tired where I can't hold my eyes open to them needing something to being awake and ready to go like that.
The dad mode adrenaline.
Yeah, just crazy. And, you just all through life, you just guide them on the right path. Hopefully you raise them right, teach them to make the right decisions. And when they're ready to go, you cry a little bit, you give them a kiss and you push them out the door. Yep. Not really, but you get it.
Yeah. When I go home from work, and whether it's traveling or just a long day at the office or whatever, I come home from work and I pull into the driveway, and then my daughter Evelyn runs out dressed up in her Frozen princess outfit.
Love it.
And wants to dance. Like, you do feel that in the car ride home. The last thing that you want to do is talk to another human being, do anything that requires any sort of thought or energy or responsibility. And then all of a sudden you have a little Elsa come running and saying, "Daddy, will you dance with me?" And I'm like, "Yes, I will."
Absolutely. I've put a lot of paint on fingernails and curled some hair, so I can do it.
You mentioned earlier a little bit about the food and how it transitioned. Originally it was Marc's food, and now it's everybody's food. I love your menu. It's so interesting to me. Yes, there's cheeseburgers, but they are not cheeseburgers that you can get anywhere else. I mean, it's just really, it's expected food, but at the same time, it's unexpected food. Like I think about your signature burger and things like that. Was that intentional, that creativity? Did it just kind of organically happen as the years go by? Or how did that menu come to be?
Well, I'll start with burgers. You know, part of any burger at O's is, as you heard me say earlier, I'm blessed to be part of a meat business as I was a child. And I have a brother now in the meat business and another brother in the restaurant business. But anyway, O's is a restaurant, but we have our own meat grinder on site. We get meat in from meat suppliers. We grind our burger fresh every day, right on site, make our own patties. So anything, same with lunch meats, are sliced fresh daily, all that stuff. Anything that you get with a burger is made, ground that morning and cooked that day. So that makes it special. But most of the creations, other than just an all-American cheeseburger, have just evolved over time. I think, without looking at it in front of me, there are a few customer ideas. We offer a burger. We call it Burger Monday. So anytime you go in on a Monday, you can buy a burger, and any of the other burgers you can get for $5. And so typically on Mondays, we're trying to come up with some kind of crazy creation to offer something a little bit unique on a Monday that you might not get another day, and you can get it for $5. So with that, if we have a really successful one that we've come up with, we might consider, hey, the next menu go around, maybe we add that one.
Ah, smart.
So we've done a little bit that way.
Oh, I love that idea because from a customer perspective, it's cool for me because I get to show up on Monday and buy a burger for $5,
right,
which is killer. You can't beat that. But then two, is something that is fun, something that is interesting, especially because my impression of O's is that regulars are the lifeblood. People eating there multiple times a week, or it's always their lunch place. And as a business owner, you got to do something to keep them coming back. You got to give them something, keep it interesting. And so for me, if I'm a regular, I can show up on Monday and I can eat something that I couldn't eat any other day of the week. And then from a business perspective, this kind of testing ground to say, hey, I think this is a really killer idea, but will it sell? Now you've got Mondays to test it out.
Exactly. And we've done some that it's just like I talked earlier, some that I thought, man, this one's really going to sell.
Yeah. And
it didn't sell. And then some I thought, God, this one seems kind of ordinary, but it's not on the menu.
Right.
And it sells amazing. So to be able to do that is just like you said, a little bit of an experimental playground, so to speak, and allows us to get a little creative and hear what people say. It's awesome.
What's the craziest cheeseburger you guys have come up with?
They come and go so fast. It's really hard to say. I can say that the signature O burger that is on the menu is a fairly crazy combination of things.
Tell me about that.
Okay. So burger patty, pepper jack cheese, pastrami, pickles, little horseradish mayo, and then it's also got some maple aioli. So you get some spiciness from the pepper jack, you get a little sweetness from the maple, you get a little horseradishy from the mustard, dill from the pickle. It's a crazy. And we've had people come in and say, I really want to try that, but can I get it minus something? Can I get it minus pickles or minus horseradish or minus? And I say you can get it any way you want it. Just like Burger King, any way you want it, but I would get it just how it is because it really meshes well. And 9 times out of 10, I'll go back to that person. Did you get it? Yep. What'd you think? It was amazing. And so it sounds kind of crazy, but I don't know. And that one was an evolution. I don't even remember. That one took many, I think, iterations to finally get it to where I think the maple aioli at the end was kind of like something we added just to give it a little bit of sweetness, but I don't know. I think it's really unique.
That first time that we went to O's, I said I have to get the O's signature. It's our first time at O's. It's their signature. It's their bread and butter. This is what I got. And I wasn't really feeling shame that it took me so long to get to O's up until I ate the O's burger. And I said, I've made a vast mistake in my life waiting this long to start eating here, because it's exactly that. Like, you can tell that, yes, they are creative, but at the same time, it's also very intentional. There's a reason why all of these ingredients are here. And so you should try the first time to eat them. Eat it the way that God has intended the O's signature burger to be eaten. It's just so good.
It is. It's probably not our best selling burger, I think, because the oddballness of it, but people that get it, get it again.
What is your best selling burger?
We have one called 6 Foot Separation.
Tell me about that. Is that a COVID burger?
That was the burger we made through COVID. Okay. And that burger has won, I think, 6th best or something in the state of Michigan. What? And that is probably our best selling. It's, let me think here. What's on that one? You're testing me.
Is your menu on your website?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. 6 Foot Separation. Sliced smoked Gouda. Bacon jam, onions.
Bacon jam. How could I forget that?
Bacon jam.
Bacon jam's amazing.
Onion straws, leaf lettuce, tomato, bacon aioli.
Yes, that sells really well.
That bacon jam.
Yeah, and that's a homemade. We make that in-house ourselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's anything with bacon jam, I mean, is delicious, but it's super good. And then the bacon aioli, it's just a lot of smoked cheddar or smoked Gouda. I mean, it's good.
Oh,
really good.
Do you have a cheeseburger that you haven't rolled out yet that you really want to?
No. I'm sure there's something out there. Yeah, there's something out there that that we have. And I used to, kind of funny you asked me that, because I used to, I don't want to say be the mastermind, because I'm not, but I used to spend a lot of time, what's our next burger? What's our next burger? And our staff now, our cooks or staff members are always coming up with some creation. So
that's cool.
I've kind of stepped back from that, and it's a cool thing because I have a lot on my plate, but now the cooks are pretty much, we ask them, hey, come up with the next burger. And between the cooks that work there, they're coming up with something and putting it out there. So I don't do much of that anymore, which is a good thing. Although I can really cook.
You can really cook?
I can cook. Yeah, I joke with our staff, our cooks, who kill it every day, but I joke with them that, and I'll go in and help. If we're short, I'll be in the kitchen. You'll see me in there. And I always joke. I said, well, if Mark's in here, we know everything's really, really good. And they'll laugh about it. And I always tell them, I can outcook all of you if I'm making 4 things. When they're making 100, and I don't know if that's true, but I joke with them about that.
In the middle of a rush.
But they can make 400 things and make them all good. So I just can't do that. I can't handle that pressure.
Do you have a signature Mark dish? If you could cook me anything.
I like to cook steak. I mean, I like to. O's does a lot with steak on a couple days a week.
You got a killer steak dinner, don't you?
Yeah, we do steak on Wednesdays and Saturdays. We'll carry steak over to the new place all the time. But I like steak. I like to cook steak, high heat. That's salt, pepper.
Steak is like the ultimate expression of simplicity. It's not about going over the top. It's not about adding crazy ingredients or anything like that. It's like, can you do the basic things well? Can you have a great piece of meat? Can you grill it? Can you grill it just enough, but not too much? Can you let it kind of speak and give it room to breathe, but not too much? Like, to me, steak is that. It's an expression of, can you do the basics really, really well?
For sure. High heat, caramelize, or, burn a little bit of not burn, but caramelize a little bit of the surface. So it's real hot, cook it right, season it right. And simplicity is right. I prefer salt and pepper. At O's, we have a seasoning that we use, and then we have what we call, and people really like it. And I enjoy it too. But we have something we call steak juice.
Ooh.
And it's a seasoning combination that is in a liquid. And so when they're cooking the steak at O's, it is really high heat. They're also putting this steak juice on the steak. And that's what has the seasoning in it versus just putting salt and pepper. Now, if someone wanted, hey, I just want simplicity, give me salt and pepper, we can do that all day long. But one of the things we do is the steak juice, and that gives it just a little bit of a unique
Good idea with the
flavor.
the juice though too, because you're introducing liquid there, so help keep it moist.
Yeah, I think some people, if you were to go to a real good steakhouse, lots of times you'll get maybe a little piece of butter or something on the top of a steak, which I really enjoy too. But ours is just, it's a little bit different than that. And I think that has really been successful for us out there as well. Although meat quality, I heard you mention that to start. Meat quality really makes a difference.
Yeah, that's where it starts and that's where it ends. If you can't, no offense, you can't shine a turd. Yeah, like you can't just have bad meat and make it good. You've got to start with great ingredients. So if there's your cheeseburgers, give me one other menu highlight other than cheeseburgers. Say somebody's not into cheeseburgers, although you should be because they're amazing. What's another kind of go-to on the menu?
We have perch, fresh lake perch, and they're yellow lake perch, true lake perch, and we have those on the menu all the time, and those are really popular, really good seller. People in our area really value and understand fresh lake perch, what it means. It's sweet. It just is wonderful. We put a really super light dusting of dry dusting flour mixture on it and then flash fry it. So it's real light, real lightly breaded, nothing very heavy at all. It comes out really awesome. So I think yellow lake perch is something we do really well. I also, like both our pastrami sandwich, our Reuben sandwich. I think those are great. We've gotten so many accolades on nachos at O's. But nachos are nachos, but believe it or not, it's back to Mark. What's Mark like or what do people like? I hear so much about our nachos. You get a huge pile of nachos, the queso on it's amazing. And we've got a lot of press on nachos, believe it or not.
Doesn't matter if you like nachos, Mark. I love nachos.
Yeah,
and I love your nachos.
Yeah, so people like the nachos too.
Back to steak. I don't know why I'm thinking so much about steak, but have you ever smoked a steak before grilling? I started smoking mine for like 2 hours in a Traeger, super low temperature, smoke it a little bit, and then I heat it. Ever done that?
I haven't done that, but I have done a whole New York strip or a whole ribeye,
like smoked all the way through.
Smoked on a Traeger. I have a Traeger too. Smoked all the way through, and then slice it like smoked prime rib or whatever, and it's been delicious. But I have not smoked it, then grilled it.
Yeah,
so that's it.
I tried. It's pretty good. It gives you,
I might steal that.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of smokiness, but then you don't have to wait for it so long. You still get the boom boom.
Yeah, the nice thing about Traeger too is not a Traeger plug, but most of that stuff doesn't make it over smoky, so you get a little bit of smoke flavor without it being so smoky. My wife and I, we have barbecue sometimes, but she's not a real fan of too smoky. It does something with her stomach or something. And so sometimes you go have that stuff and it just, so we don't have a lot of it. And a Traeger tends to make it a little less than that.
Yeah. It's like you're gnawing on a chimney.
Right.
None of that. You just need a little smoky something. When, we were talking earlier, you alluded twice to the new project, the new effort, the new thing, the New Jerusalem at the end of Midland Street. Tell me about H2O's.
All right. So H2O's is our second location. It is at the end or start of Midland Street, I guess, depending on which side you're on. But it will be on the river, and it is the old Hooters location that had been there for, I don't know, maybe 15 years, but a long time. Hooters was there. And unfortunately, Hooters didn't make it. And left, I think, through the pandemic, right around the pandemic.
It was, I think at the beginning.
Yeah. They didn't make it, and so the building sat there through the pandemic. And Art had some grandchildren that worked for us at O's, and so he had come in and had known Laura real well, and came in for lunch many times and said, "Man, you guys should look at Hooters. You do a really good job there." And so I had reached out to him right after it closed, and him and I went through there and talked, and it was just. We just couldn't swing it at the time and decided not to do it. But through it, it was still always in Laura's mind or my mind. And then closer to the end of the pandemic, we were coming out, he was in one more time and talked to Laura and said, "Hey, you should come back and talk to us again." And so I had met up with actually one of his kids at the time and walked through it and spent some time, and we ended up agreeing on a price. And so we ended up buying it, and we're super excited about it. Just a great location. When I was younger, Laura and I were younger, we used to go there and spend a lot of time there. It was a hopping place.
Yeah.
And
it's on the river too?
Yeah, it's on the river. So boat traffic and people traffic, and we're just super excited about it. It will be an added destination, into our portfolio for sure. We're super excited about it. And we know Bay City will be really proud of it when we're done.
Ever since Hooters left, I've been thinking about that property and just saying, man, somebody great has to go in there. I mean, it's Midland Street, and there's so many great things happening on Midland Street. It's on the river. You're constantly thinking about how can we better leverage the waterfront area, specifically in the business district area. And I was just, man, somebody great has to go in there. Somebody great has to go in there. Somebody great has to go in there. And then I swung by O's to take a photo of you and Laura, and you pulled open your phone and said, hey, I'm going to show you something. And they were the initial mock-ups for H2Os. And I said, yes, the dreams do come true. I was so stoked. And I think everybody's stoked for you guys and for H2Os to come in there.
Yeah, it's we always knew because we had that love of that property.
Yeah.
But boy, Phil, you're right. I mean, there is just so much buzz about that particular property in Bay City. And like you said, so much change on Midland Street.
Oh.
And start, doing stuff different. And I don't know, it's just a perfect time to get in there and spend some time and turn that into, something that people will be proud of.
Yeah. And I mean, the turning it into something that's a big task. This is more than just opening the doors, putting up a new sign and saying, everybody come on in. You guys are doing some crazy work to this place. Kind of tell me about that. How are you making this H2Os?
So the first thing is we decided to get rid of the orange. No, no, I'm joking a little bit, but the orange is gone. No, it will be different. There will be some windows that are in there now, window banks that will be able to open to get some fresh air in there. The kitchen has to be closed in. So as you walked in before, the bar was there and you could look into the kitchen and see a bunch of fryers. They mostly cook wings. I think they had a flat top in there, but
yeah,
you could pretty much look into the kitchen. That will all be closed off, so you will not be able to see in the kitchen. And part of that is I would love, O's has an open kitchen, and I love people able to see into a kitchen and watch their food being done.
Right.
But in this case, the greater good was to be able to make it more open air. So we decided we had to close the kitchen in order to do that. So that'll be closed off. The bar then will have to move to another spot in there. So it will look, although people that have been to Hooters say, wow, I can tell it's an old Hooters, but I think it will look extremely different. So yeah, people love it.
When I looked at the drawings, that was something that really impressed me was the openness of it, that it can be open air, that there's a lot of space. Also, we keep talking about it, the riverfront. There's docks there right now. Is that correct?
So there were docks there, and the docks that were there when they closed, they sold those. So those aren't.
Oh, they sold the docks.
Yeah. So there's no docks right now, but there are docks. So the city of Bay City allows and rents some docks on the marina side.
Okay.
Along there. I didn't have them put in the summer because we weren't open, but I will have some docks there right out of the chute.
Okay, cool.
But there were some fingers that went out into the Saginaw River in front that are not there, but we are and do plan on putting those back in there.
Dope.
So just got to get approval from the Corps of Engineering.
Right.
And we'll get some docks back in there. Hopefully that makes it by summer, but no, we're working on it. And eventually we will have space for both.
Cool. It's one thing doing renovations to a building and all the codes and hoops and things that you have to jump through, and then as soon as you start messing with the river, then you get the Corps of Engineers involved, and that's a process. It's more than just putting in your removable dock and saying, hey, people come boat in here. There's a process involved.
Absolutely. And from what I'm first time going into putting docks out there, but just based on what I've heard from the city, and I know Drift, I think, had some issues struggling doing that as well.
Yep.
It happens, but it takes longer than some of us might like. And like I said, I'm hoping that we're ready come, June. Our docks are out there, all of them, and people are there. But if they're not, they're going to be there.
They're coming.
They're coming. Absolutely.
Don't worry, people with boats. Mark's got you. He knows.
Absolutely.
He knows that you want to boat in. I mean, like, nothing beats just cruising down the river, and you want to stop by. Now we've got options. You can boat into the H2Os, you could boat into Drift, you could go over to Uptown. I mean, just the access to that is going to be killer. So you're thinking, like, should we talk about when you estimated opening?
Sure.
So when you think I will be able to walk into H2Os and buy food?
So, our target all along has been March 1st of 2023. So just 4 or 5 months away now. And we're still really targeting that. There's potential that it could slip a little bit. I think renovation wise, building wise, no doubt we'll make that. But, through the pandemic and trying to buy, whether it's tables and chairs, whether it's ranges and stoves and ovens and things that we have to get to put in there, those lead time on those things is still long. Although getting better, it's still long. So if we can get that stuff quicker, we might beat that date. If it takes a little longer, it might go a little longer. Right. But I definitely see us open by, I would certainly think by April 1st.
Okay, so March, April, kind of in that way. Yeah, I interviewed a new coffee shop owner over in Saginaw. She said that she had waited a year and a half for her tables and chairs. And it's something that as a customer, you don't really think about. You think, okay, well, they started their business and they just have to get their machines and then they open the doors and now I can buy my thing. But from ordering until receiving a year and a half, it's just crazy.
It is. It absolutely is. There are some tables and we kind of debated about it, but a lot of those tables that Hooters had with the wood and the epoxy on top are still there. They left a few, do we use those? But no, those are all going. I mean, we're really at mercy of getting equipment. And as soon as we do that,
right,
we'll be ready to go.
Right. Can we talk about Auburn for a second?
Sure.
There's such a pride in Auburn, in the community of Auburn. Like when we did our promotional Where's Phildo post for you and O's, it like 50,000 people saw that post. And it was primarily because people in Auburn saw that it was about O's and they just came out of the woodwork. And I saw so many comments from people say, oh, I love that Phildo was in Auburn. Oh, I love Auburn. I love O's. I love all of this. There's such a pride in being from Auburn.
Yeah. I'm from, Bay City, on the west side and in the Bangor area, but Laura grew up in Auburn. So Laura's an Auburn person, born there, raised there. And I can't say enough about, like you said, about the Auburn community. We love them.
Yeah.
They're supporting us. They're supporting now the Auburn Hotel's open back up. They're supporting them as well. And I don't know. It's really special to be in Auburn. And I always tell people, come out to Auburn because I'm, a Bay City person. Like, oh man, it's so far away. It's like, no, it's not. It's like 7 miles. It's like drive on US 10 and hop off and you're there in like 7 minutes. But I get it. Sometimes people don't want to make the trek, but like Auburn
crossing the river.
Yeah. Like, Auburn's a cool little community. And we're blessed. It's close to Midland, about the same drive from Midland, the same drive from Freeland. So it's, it's kind of essentially located in the Tri-Cities. And I think that also has helped us.
Yeah, absolutely. I want your advice as an entrepreneur and now an expanding entrepreneur to another location. If you had to go back to Mark from the beginning as a budding entrepreneur, what would you tell yourself, or what would you tell somebody who's thinking about opening a place here in Bay County or things like that? What advice would you give a relatively new entrepreneur?
My advice would be that if it's a dream, I would tell you to find a way to do it. I would say not be bothered by there's no way. And I think that we as humans, sometimes we do. We always have dreams, but sometimes we sabotage our own success by creating a dream and then telling ourselves, I can't do it because of this, or I can't do it because of that. And I just think we're sabotaging our own success. And so I would challenge you, Phil, or anybody else that has those ideas to not let yourself sabotage your own success and to challenge. I mean, sometimes it's good to know, oh, maybe I should touch the water to see if it's cold or hot before I get burned or hurt. But sometimes you need to think, am I going to die? What's going to happen?
Right.
And if I'm not, then you need to push, challenge yourself. You need to push against those negative things that I say sabotage our own success.
And I think maybe your path is similar to my path in that becoming an entrepreneur doesn't necessarily mean that you have to abandon your 9-to-5 job and you have to eat ramen noodles for 7 straight years while you get your business up and running. I think we both kind of bootstrapped a business and said, well, we're working for somebody else, while we're also building this thing on the side. You're still working for consumers. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
And so there's a way that you can achieve those dreams without the risk of quitting your job and saying, I need to dedicate my life to this. You can definitely do that and people are successful. But as you start to get a family, you're like, I really want to pursue this, but I don't know if I can. There's ways around that. Keep your job, get a little bit of a taste. Start doing it at home. Sure. Start doing it in a pop-up. Start doing it so that you can get that taste. You can start making money. You can say, do I actually want to do this? Is it worth the risk? You don't have to give up everything and say, okay, it's now or never.
Yeah, it's funny, Phil, because people always say to me or Laura, or you guys, you're always working so hard. And how do you do it all? I love my job at Consumers. Great place to be. I love the just stuff at O's. And how do you do it? And when you love something, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't. It's work, but it's not. I don't even consider. People say you work so hard, and it's like work. I mean, I don't know. I guess if they say it, it pops into my head, but I don't think that. I think I'm just out doing the stuff that I love, and when you do that, I think it prevents you from sabotaging your own success. Find something you love and do it. Yeah, life is short.
It's inherently fuel when you're pursuing something of purpose, something that resonates with you, something that you want to accomplish. There's fuel in that says, okay, yeah, I did work 11 hours today, but I have the energy, I have the focus to be able to sit in my room or sit in my garage or do work on this thing for another 2 hours because there's purpose there. There's purpose behind it.
Yeah, the other thing I really think is, I think regret is worse than failure by far, and I personally do not want to die when my time comes with regret. I just don't want to do it. Failure, it teaches me something else. So I just move on. But regret, oh man, I don't want to think back. I really messed that up. I should have done that. And sometimes I think even starting a business at the time I did in my life, I sometimes think maybe I should have took that on a little bit earlier. But there's a reason I didn't, because I was a father to my daughters, and so the timing wasn't quite right. And so things worked out. But now I tell my kids, they talk to me all the time, Dad, I really like this, or I really like that, and I tell them, man, go for it. Find a way. I'm here. I'll help you, but don't sabotage don't let all these things, because I'll get something from them. Hey, I want to do this, but this. And it's like, no, I write them back. No, there's no buts. Get rid of the buts.
Try it.
You can do it.
Yeah. The thing about failure is, I think that it is such a teaching tool in so many ways. One, it's one of the best ways to discover how to do it right, because now you know how to do it wrong. Okay, mess this up. This didn't go right, so now I can create a better way. Two, it's also a test to see, do I actually like this idea or do I not? Running a restaurant, you might love food, but there's so much about running a restaurant other than food, and you don't know those things until you try it. Try it. And failure can be a great avenue for that. It can reaffirm your convictions and say, I do love running a restaurant, or I do love this business because I'm willing to overcome those things. At the same time, it can say, wow, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. Time to look for something different.
Absolutely. Yeah. You heard me talk earlier, destination and keeping destination in mind. A couple of things that I really believe in is, the picture. When I think about something, when I have a dream, I try to build a picture in my mind of what that looks like. And I keep that picture in front of me all the time in my mind. And that picture is what keeps me going. And I've kind of joked sometimes. It's like, have plan A and have plan B. Plan B can be plan A, just a little bit different way. And I would joke with people, my plan B is plan A, just another way. And I think the picture in your mind, it needs to be the strongest thing that you can get. So it's great to think about something, but put it in a picture and get that picture in your mind. And that really helps get you where you want to go.
So, something that you keep referencing is this idea of creating a destination. We want O's to become a destination, H2O's to become a destination. For you, what does that mean to create a destination? What does it take to make a place that people are willing to drive 7 minutes down US 10 to go to, or across the river to go to? What goes into creating a destination?
But when I think destination, I think of something that people, are willing to spend an afternoon. Hey, we're going to drive north from Flint or Detroit, and we're going to spend the day. We have nothing to do. We're going to look at leaves, or we're going to just see something different or something. Where are we going to go? We're going to go to O's. And so we've had people drive by. It's like, we're on our way up north, and we just looked at good restaurants along our path on Google or whatever, and your place came up. And so we're here, and it's right off the highway, which is nice. So it's like I said, a 5-6 minute drive from 75. So it isn't that far off. So lots of times we're getting people, hey, we're on our way somewhere, and we just stop to have dinner. And so I'd see that as destination, somewhere where people are like, wow, we're gonna set our, hey, we're not going to Auburn. What's in Auburn? We're going to go to O's and see Auburn, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. What from a business perspective, what does it take to actually make a business that people want to go to in that way?
It's all the stuff we talked about. I think it's a good product. It's relationships. It's good atmosphere. It's people. It's making people feel really comfortable when they walk in. And I think all of that is key to getting there.
Yeah, the total package.
Yeah.
You can have it. You can have great food with a terrible environment. You can have a great environment with terrible food. But I think to create that destination, you got to have all of those pieces being addressed and operating at a high level.
For sure. One of the things that as we become more and more that if we're not, I think we're not there yet. Some people say we are there. I don't know. Either way, in my mind, we're not there yet. But either way, one of the hard things to overcome in getting that is that now people have a high expectation when they go there. So when they didn't know that, I expected to go to a bar or a restaurant and get some okay food. But now I have this really high expectation. And if I go there and it isn't someone's best day, because we're all human and accidents happen.
Right.
Sometimes someone, oh man, I'm a little disappointed. Well, once you raise people's expectation, it just becomes a little bit more difficult to make the experience better. And so you just got to keep going. Yeah, but we're challenged with that a little bit.
Yeah, the self-imposed curse of doing something well is that you have to, if people expect a high level, got to operate at a high level. And I want to say, as a customer, a regular customer now at O's, you guys are absolutely doing that. I think that you've created, both you and Laura and the entire team at O's, you've really created a place and a gift, not just for Auburn, but for the entire Bay County community. And now with the second location, H2O's, I'm so looking forward to you guys opening in the spring and having another place where we can come have that kind of experience where it does feel like a very unique, special, intentional place to have fun and to eat great food and to meet your friends. It's going to be great.
I'm glad you talked about that a little bit, because I just want to say that that H2O's will be a little bit different from O's menu-wise, because we've got a full kitchen, right? And so we can do some more things there than we can do at O's. But the environment, how we feel, relationships, things like that, I can stop in there and throw on I got a suit on, so I'm going to throw on a pullover or whatever, and I'm going to run in there and get some food. It'll be a comfortable place like that. It'll be something that everybody can go there and not feel like I'm underdressed, overdressed. It'll be a really fun, awesome atmosphere, and that's kind of what we want to do.
Awesome. Looking forward to it so much, Mark. Been talking with Marc Owczarzak of O's and soon to be H2O's. I thank you so much to you and your family and the crew and everything that you guys are doing for us here in Bay County.
Thank you, Phil.
Crushed it.